Welcome back. All right, so quick little news video for today before we get into the games tonight. If you're a Toronto fan, bad news on the blue line. Jake Muzzin is out with a concussion. He will not be traveling with the team. I haven't seen a guideline for like how long he's going to be out, but if it's a concussion, they probably don't have a really good idea exactly of when he's going to be back. So here's to hoping it's not a big deal. He's only out for a couple of weeks, maybe a week, right? So Muzzin is out with a concussion. The waiver wire, busy. The two that were on waivers yesterday did clear. Today, we'll see. Lagesson of the Oilers is on waivers. The Oilers blue line, there's been some issues there. I don't know if Lagesson clears, though. He's still young. And there are definitely teams that need help on the blue line. I don't know if he clears or not. And Jamel Smith's on waivers from Tampa. I don't know if he clears either. I do wonder if somebody's going to pick him up. Jamel Smith's never going to be like a top six player or like a big dynamic scoring forward, but there's some speed, there's some skill there, there's some toughness there too. I could see him getting picked up. Of the two, I think Smith's more likely to pass through waivers, but we'll see whether or not they both end up passing through waivers, right? Kevin Hayes, he has had a rough time of it. Like, it has been on the ice, off the ice, a really rough last 12 months for him. And he's only played 20 games so far this year, and now he's going to be out for another 3 to 4 weeks. He had fluid drained from his adductor region, which I didn't know what it was either, even though I apparently have it. I don't ever want to need fluid drained from it. So if you need 3 to 4 weeks to recover from that, thanks. I hope that that's never something I have to worry about. So it's in the groinal region, and therefore, you don't want fluid building up. I just, no. That's no. I do wish him the best, and hopefully it's 3 weeks he's out and not 4. But again, for Kevin Hayes, it's just been one after another. And it's too bad because I think Hayes is a very talented forward. I think it's worked out really well for him in Philadelphia. This year, though, it's just everything that can go wrong for Philadelphia seems to go wrong. Kyle Palmieri, who hasn't played since December 16th. Barry Trotz stating he's 80 to 85% ready, which means he might come back. It's sort of like, in Dallas, Dennis Gurianov. He's not 100%, but they're going to put him on the ice and see what he can do, kind of thing, right? And if it's different, though. This with Palmieri's an injury, and with Gurianov, it's recovering from COVID. And he apparently he's not 100% in terms of his stamina, right? So for Palmieri, we'll see when he comes back for the Islanders. Doesn't sound like it's going to be tonight, but it doesn't sound like it's too far off either. So the discussion about the Montreal, I also want to say with the Montreal GM, he's bilingual. I know I said francophone this morning. He's bilingual. He's anglophone, but he's a Montreal native. So he's from Montreal. And Kent Hughes, he has a strong relationship with Jeff Gorton that's already in place. So that's a big part of the reason why last week they re-engaged with him. And he became a favorite right away. He sat down with Jeff Molson, talked to Jeff Molson. Molson was impressed. And the experience he has as an agent is seen as an asset, and he's seen as being a pretty smart hockey mind. One thing that we look at around the NHL and we see is teams that are at or above the cap a lot. And so when it comes to being able to make additions at the trade deadline, it becomes a real trick. Montreal is a team that sits well above the cap if everybody was playing, but you got Weber out and Price out, so that helps. But I think having somebody in place that is functioning as for two things when you're putting the team together. A, you want to make sure it's competitive, and B, you want to have cap space. I find it weird because fans will always argue with me when I say, well, this team doesn't have any more cap space. And they go, well, yeah, why do you want cap space? So you can add at the deadline. Like, it's bizarre to me how there are general managers that are just fixated on, okay, I've got $2.5 million left in cap space. Who can I get for $2.5 million? Rather than, I have $2.5 million in cap space. I like my roster how it is. I think we'll go with this. And then at the deadline, I'm going to have cap space to add somebody if I need to. So, again, we'll see what the plan is going forward, but it sounds like this is a good relationship. It bodes well in whether Gorton's the one calling the shots and Hughes is learning the ropes along the way, however it works. Sort of like in Vegas, right, where you promote George McPhee, but there's always been this idea that George McPhee's still technically the GM. McCrimmon's there in the GM role because they didn't want to lose him, but is it McCrimmon that makes the call or is it McPhee? But either way, I think it's a good idea. And I think that when Vancouver makes their announcement of a general manager, I think it'll be something, not the same, but I think it'll be similar. It definitely looks like teams are thinking outside the box this time around, and we're not just recycling GMs between teams. And if at some point in time we do that with coaches too, I think that'd be a good idea. There are a lot of good coaches in Europe that I think could do really well in the NHL, and for whatever reason, they don't really get a shot at it. So here's to hoping that that'll happen. But yeah, so good on Montreal, I do believe. And then last but not least, the league told teams today, I'm guessing on a conference call or Zoom call, 73% of the leagues tested positive since the start of the season, 60% over the last 5 weeks. So, and this is along with the idea that they're going to keep the protocols the same as they are right now until February 3rd. And then we go into the All-Star weekend. We go into the not testing people unless they have symptoms part of it. And that's where things should become more along the same lines as what we've seen in the NFL over the last few weeks and other North American sports as well. So anyways, there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happen upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.